Welcome back into Rounding Third Baseball, episode 284, 22-year official scorer for the Braves. Mark Frederickson joins the show. And if it is anything like the last 15 minutes, you guys are in for an incredible show. I cannot wait for this. I'm Nick. We have Harrison tonight. How are we doing tonight, Harrison?
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. I feel like I'm not prepared. I feel like I need some popcorn, maybe a blanket to get settled in for story time because this is going to be a blast.
I can't wait to dive into this. So let's get going. But first, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also follow on Instagram, Rumble, and TikTok. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts on your way to work. We also have our affiliate sponsors, Logitech, MLB Shop, and Lids. You can find these links on the tops of all of our socials. So if you do any shopping for these products, please do it through our links as we get a nice little kickback with no additional cost to you. Just a great way to support the show. And we have Rounding Third merch on Etsy. Do search Rounding Third Baseball. You can find sweatshirts, t-shirts, tumblers, whole bunch of stuff on there. Still not too late to get your Christmas gifts. So tell your family you want Rounding Third merch.
And which you probably already have told them, but just making sure.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And also on Patreon, we are streaming over there tonight. So check us out there. Just another great way to support us and just keep continuing to build that small baseball community. And we are putting all our exclusive content on Patreon. So check us out there. All right, here we go. We are going to welcome into the show Mark Frederickson. Welcome to the show, Mark. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing better than the law should allow. I appreciate you having me.
Of course, man. We are so excited for this. We have a ton of Braves fans here, but we have baseball fans here. So just whatever story you got for us, we are all tuned in and ready. But as we get going, how did you get your start? Like, where did your career start? How did you end up as an official scorer for the Atlanta Braves? Start us right at the beginning.
All right. The very beginning would have been when I went to college, which was at a small college in Middle Georgia. And they had like a 10-watt radio station. And they had never even had a sports director. So it's like, well, wait a minute. I can probably become the sports director, and that's going to get me press passes to Braves, Falcons, Flames, and Hawks. And that succeeded. So that got me into the press box from 77 to 81. And while you're there, you meet people, you find out who can use you. My biggest advice for anybody that says, how do you get into business? How do you put your name out there? The first thing you have to put on complete hold is money. Don't hang anything up over money. You do whatever you can do, and if it's going to help your career, you do it for free, and you don't even think twice. So I did some work for AP and back when UPI was still in business. And so this is before computers. So when you picked up your paper every morning and you saw the box scores, which, that's like the Bible. I remember back in the days of Sporting News that was the New York Post, the tabloid type, and man, you just pour through box scores. And back then, the way that the wire services got the box scores was there was somebody in the press box that was on the phone with them and saying Smith 4010, Murphy 4111, Horner 3020. And you went all through the box and you started dictating it in about the 8th inning, and you just kept updating it as you went along. That included what I was doing the night of the Rick Camp game in 1985. So I was on the phone with him for like 7 hours because you started doing it in the 8th inning and it just never ended. So I did that to keep alive after I left college. And then there was, again, before computers and newspaper writers would type their stories on a manual typewriter, they had two options. They either got on the phone themselves and dictated their story back to their newspaper, or there was a company called Amfax, which was Simile. And that was the original fax machine. And it was like 2 feet long, 8 inches square. Took 6 minutes to send one page. So they would give you their story, and you'd put it in the machine and get it cranking and call their home office, and you'd get the beep, like you were dialing up a 9600 modem, and stick it in the coupler and hit the button. And on the other end, they'd have a chemical piece of paper that their paper's burning it in. And so I did that for a while. That got me into the masters for 6 years because that was a big money maker for the company, and they needed help. So yeah, I'll go to the masters and work and get money.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, all right. So that kept me going, and that got me up to 1985. And at the time, there's 2 official scores and had been there for about 6 years, and another one was in his first year in 85. And it's a job to where if you're not confident in your abilities and you're not respected, they don't want you, and you don't want to be there. That's a marriage that ain't gonna work.
Right.
And the fella that was there, fantastic guy, nice fella, he didn't have a chance. He was just, that wasn't his gig. Amazingly enough, I'll give him credit for one thing though, because he peeled off a scoring call that I'm curious how many people would know. How can a starting pitcher get a win and only go 4 innings?
I don't know.
It's not a trick question.
I know.
It's
I'm trying to.
in the
I'm
rule
trying to-
book.
So he started the 4 innings? Like he
The
started the game and only
starting
went 4?
pitcher goes 4 innings and gets the win.
I should know this. I don't know.
I know. I feel like I've seen this one before, but I don't know what it is.
It's if the game is shortened by rain to 5 innings,
Oh.
if
Yeah.
you go 4 of the 5, you get the win. And Joaquin
go.
Andujar, or Bob Force. Bob Force was pitching for the Cardinals, and that happened one night. And so he's after the game, and nobody in the press box knew this. And he's announcing the winning pitcher, and he goes, "Winning pitcher, Bob Force." Everybody's like, no. It's like, yeah, he was right. So
Yeah.
he at least had one feather in his cap for that season.
That's awesome.
But he didn't. He really didn't win. So you can question people's hit and error calls all day long, all you want. It's an opinion. We all know what opinions are like. So, but the one thing that's factual is earned runs in recreating an inning without the error and pass ball and all that kind of good stuff. And he was not real good with that. And I would more times than not be the one that would quietly go over to him and say, I think that should be 2 instead of 3 earned runs. So, at the end of the year, the team would nominate their scores to the league. Back when I started in 86, it was National League, American League.
Right.
It turned into Major League Commissioner's Office in the late 90s. So the gentleman that was the PR director for the Braves was a fellow named Wayne Minshew. He was a longtime newspaper writer. He was a beat writer for the Braves for a number of years with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And he was a very nice fellow. And I went to him and I said, "Hey, I know you're going to be needing somebody next year. Since official scorers can only have one job when they're on duty, you don't have a whole lot of options. I'd like to be considered as an option." And he said, "Absolutely, we will." So he called me back over the winter, sometime in January, and said, "Yeah, we'd love for you to be the second scorer." So I said, "Hey, that's great." So at the time, I was only 26,
Wow.
which what I've gathered is the youngest official scorer in the history of Major League Baseball. So that was kind of cool.
That is awesome.
And then we started in 86, and I can still remember the first game I did. It was opening day against the Phillies, and Juan Samuel hit a 3-chopper to short, and Rafael Ramirez just kind of took his time. He did nothing wrong, but he just, so it's like, base hit. I mean, my voice was just, my throat was dry, and it was just like embarrassing. I'm squeaking out this base hit. And so I still remember that first game. And
That's incredible.
so, and then, later that same year, we had Horner's 4 home run game.
Which is
3 months later.
I think I got it in it. Yeah, right here. I got the scorecard from the Bob Horner game right here.
From the Bob Horner game, and that is in the Hall of Fame. That is in Cooperstown.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I was there. I presented it to him. I gave it to him. I went up. Actually, even though this one happened in '86, the perfect game by Lee Johnson, I gave him my scorecard for that game and sent it to him. And it was on display in the Hall of Fame for like 7 years, which is an ungodly lengthy. They usually turn stuff over every 2-3 years. But it was on display for a number of years. And then the second time, our family was having a vacation. We were going up to Niagara Falls. So we flew up into New York and went to a play. And then we were going to drive diagonal across to Buffalo and then up to Niagara Falls. And Cooperstown's right on that way. So I called the gentleman and, we'd love to have Horner's score sheet. And he goes, how do you want to get it to us? I said, well, I'll be there, whatever it was. And it turned out that day was the day of the week of the, whatever they call the game, that they play a major league game at Doubleday Field.
Oh, yeah.
And so, we get there in the morning and I meet the fella and just as nice as they could be. And, how would you like to come look in the archives? No, I got no interest in that. So,
right.
So we go back and he's showing me stuff that's it's unreal. He's showing me rule books from the Civil War era.
Damn.
He showed me a lot of stuff, Jackie Robinson. The shot heard round the world, where I get my Hodges is mixed up. The radio, was that Gil?
No, Gil was the player, I'm pretty sure.
Gil Hodges.
Well, unless he did radio.
But so, do you know the story about how they have the audio of that home run call?
No.
A guy that worked night shift told his mom to record the game on the reel-to-reel so he could listen to it when he got home from work.
That's amazing.
Was the only known copy of the audio radio call of that.
Wow.
So So
we have baseball. We have baseball history dork says Russ. Does that sound right?
Russ Hodges, yes. So he goes, you might be in a score, you might be interested in this. And he brings out, and it's Hodges' scorecard from that game.
Wow.
And if you remember, when he hit the home run, he just went silent for like 30 seconds. And just, all you could hear was the crowd going crazy in the background. And he was soaking it in. And on his scorecard, where Mazeroski's spot was on the card, there was a dot. He started to write it, and then he just kind of looked up and just soaked everything in and never went back and filled in the home run.
Oh, wow.
So that was his scorecard from that game, and all that was there was a dot. So that's
crazy.
That just begin to see that kind of stuff. That was unreal. Yeah. And so I had noticed that when I gave him that, the scorecard that I'd given from Randy Johnson's game, there was 2 sheets and they crisscross at the bottom. And on the visiting team's page in the lower left, there is you put your name and sign it. and they had it crisscrossed to where it was blocked. It's like, no, damn. Okay. And I asked him, I said, I would understand if you tell me, there's some kind of rule or something. And that picture there is of the Arizona locker. It had Johnson's jersey and cleats, I believe, with it. And, I said, I totally understand if, you just don't show people's names that are not affiliated with the team. He goes, no. Next time we go in there and dust around, we'll flip-flop them back for you. So when we went back a little later, and I was with my wife and youngest daughter, and, when you're a kid, you dream about, Cooperstown,
Right.
hitting the home run or getting the last out of a World Series in Cooperstown. So we walk in, and I knew where the room was, hoping that it would still be on display. And, you go there and you're looking down at it, and, you got your wife on one side of you and your 11-year-old daughter on the other side of you, and you're looking down, you're seeing your name and signature, and you're standing in the middle of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That was emotional.
I can't even. Yeah, I said it to you earlier today. I can't even imagine what that felt like to see your name on display.
It was
Cooperstown.
That was something else. That was fantastic. So going back to where we started with all this with Horner, so I gave that one to him, and I'll interject a comedic story. As you go through the journey of being official scorer, the one thing that really stinks, if you are a true fan of, you grew up being a true fan of the team, which I was, hardcore. And pretty much they hate you because you're unfair and you never played ball. I mean, it's not personal. It wasn't me. It was the official score.
Right.
And there was just animosity. Every time a player got on base and you gave him a hit or an error, you're an idiot. I mean, it's just there's just an inbred hatred there.
Yeah.
So that hurts to the guys you grew up idolizing and put up on this pedestal, and you have to accept the fact that they don't like you. So what are you going to do? Some are better than others. Horner was one that didn't really. He had an opinion. We'll just leave it at that. He had an opinion. Another funny story with him. His first game ever. I pull into the parking lot before the game, usually about an hour and a half before the game, and I'm parking in the press parking lot, and a car pulls up next to me, and I get out and I say, "How y'all doing?" Good. He goes, "Could you possibly tell us where the will call booth is?" Sure. I've got to walk up there. I'll follow me, and we'll walk on up there. So I'm walking up there with him. So first game, they said, "Well, first game here in Atlanta." It's like, "Oh, well, welcome to Atlanta. What brings you here?" "Well, our son's playing tonight." "Oh, really? That's cool. Who'd that be?" "Bob Horner." I ran into Bob Horner's parents and escorted them up to their to get their tickets. And he hit the home run off of Bert Blyleven that night and broke his bat doing it.
Wow.
That was, broken bat homer. So he, after his career ended, and in the Atlanta paper, they did a "Where Are They Now?" And they did one on Bob Horner. This was maybe 7-8 years ago. And so I knew the writer of the story, and I said, "I'd really love to get Bob to sign my scorecard. And, if you could just, I don't want you to give me any information, just if you could reach back out to him, and if I send him, self-addressed envelope and so on and so forth, if he wouldn't mind." So he called me back about 4 days later, and he goes, he'd be glad to do it, and ask if you would make about 6 extra copies and you sign them in the bottom corner as the official scorer, and he'll have something to give out to family.
That's cool.
So all of a sudden, all was forgiven. And So that was cool. And I sent him like 5. I had a lot of friends that, okay, I put a sticky on this one, to Kevin. So, and you can read, it's tough to read on that sheet there, but it just says to Fred. I went by Fred. To Fred, a pretty good game. 4 HR, 7686.
Yeah.
So, like I said, all was forgiven.
Crazy.
Chipper Jones was the same way. He would be critical, but at the end of the day, everything was cool. I saw him. He was a grand marshal at a race over in Talladega, and I ran into him. It was after he was retired. And I'm like, you hate me still? Jokingly. And he just started laughing the way Chipper laughs. He goes, oh, man, water under the bridge, man. Everything's cool. How you been doing? So, they carry that edge while they're playing.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, a lot of them now, you would never hear me say the first bad thing about Dale Murphy. Every great thing you've heard about him is absolutely true.
We've been
It's not an exaggeration. Salted spell.
Yeah, we've been a very pro component for him to be in the Hall, and really thought that this year he was going to get in. And
this was his chance. Yes.
Unfortunately didn't quite get there.
He was the genuine article. How people, you get on how people catch them not being an example for Murphy was way back in the day. This is 7 or 78 when he blew out his knee when he was still catching. And in Atlanta, North DeKalb Mall. And there was a Woolworths at one end, and diagonally across from it was a bookstore. And I'm walking out, and this is as a 18-year-old kid. And I'm walking out, and I'm looking at whatever I'd bought. All of a sudden I hear Mark. And I look up, I look over there, and it was Murph on crutches. Players don't recognize the other people these days, or even back then. So for him to initiate the conversation, that would just, how much does that speak for just what a good person you are?
Yeah.
And
awesome.
He always was. After one game, it was funny because he was the captain of the team, and he called me up in the press box after a game one time. He goes, would you mind coming down so I can talk to you about something? Of course I'm going to go down. So I go down there, and he goes, I got a question with you. And he's the only player that I've ever encountered that wanted to know the rule book. Everybody else is ignorant of the rule book.
Yeah.
To the extent one player we'll get into more later actually said the comment, I don't care what the blanking rule book says.
Yeah.
Okay. That sums up a lot. So, but he was interested in truly, how does it work? What are calls based on? So, and he never asked anything about himself, never brought up any question for himself. And there was one game where he was on second base. Gerald Perry was hitting, and he hit a ball to short. They were playing in Houston. It's amazing how you remember details from 40 years ago. And Craig Reynolds was a shortstop, and he just, to me, obviously booted it, but he booted it. So Murph saying, I was on second base, and man, that thing really looked like it came up on him, and if you could give him another look. I said, and one thing I always tried to be was conscientious. If a player was going to ask a question, well, we're dealing with not only baseball history, but his livelihood. So they deserve every bit of my and any official scorer's consideration to reconsider something. We had 24 hours to change a call, and so I said, I'll go over to the Houston's clubhouse and ask Reynolds about it. So, which was no fun because the Braves won. So, walking into a losing team's locker room, that's not a fun place to be in. So I go in there, I go up to Reynolds, and I Craig, hi, Mark Frederickson, official score. Wanted to talk to you about that ground ball that I gave you the error on in the 8th inning. And he goes, that's not even a hit in an old timers game. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
So I go back over to Murph. I said, Murph says it wouldn't be a hit in an old timers game. And even Murphy could not, no player will ever say the words, you were right and I was wrong. That will never happen, ever. But he just, okay, I appreciate you checking into it. So but even Murph couldn't say, okay, you were right. They just can't do it. So there's a lot of good. Pitchers were general as a whole. They were nicer. They weren't as combative about their calls.
What was the first button heads with a player that you got? You started at 26.
Oh my goodness!
What was the first one?
There's no question here, and I'll definitely have to give you the G version, and because it got R, and so this was same year. This was '86, my first year, and the Braves were playing the Giants, and Will Clark was playing first base, and somebody for the Braves hit a foul ball, and he went over to first base. He went over near the railing, and he looked like he had plenty of room, and he just missed it. E3.
Yeah.
So the San Francisco media relations guy came over and said, it might be a tough error. Is there any chance to look at it again? So I said, or look into it, whatever. So I said, yeah, sure. I mean, I was naive, so I said, yeah, I'll go down and ask. And I was always Mr. Murph. At that time was one of the few, if not only, that because he asked me to do something as Mark, so I felt comfortable. Murph. Mm-hmm. Any other player, and it didn't matter how much older I may have been than the player, it was always Mr. I would always, that level of respect they deserve. And so I went down into the Giants clubhouse, and I'm waiting on him. He's in the shower, so I'm just, and he comes out, and I said, Mr. Clark, Mark Frederickson, official score. I just wanted to ask you about that foul ball back in the 5th inning or whatever it was. That I called an error. And he goes, what do I think? I think it's whatever you MFs call it. And I mean, I'm like, holy smokes. What did I do to deserve that? And I got kind of irritated because it's like, because all the other players are looking.
Yep, right.
And he's doing his thing to, act all high and mighty and be the Lord and Master. And he said that to me, and I said, I found out later, apparently one of the official scorers out in San Francisco was horrible, was truly hard, and had just shafted him numerous times all season. So he had no love for official scorers no matter what.
Yep.
And so I said, I don't deserve that kind of talk. I'm trying to get the right call here. I don't deserve this. And, as it turns out, I was 26 and he was probably 23. So, it wasn't like I was talking, bad to an elder. And he, all of a sudden, he just, he chilled real quick. He goes, I never saw it. I said, thank you. I'll take the error away. And turned around and walked out. But, wow, to get that kind of, I'm just trying to do my job the best I can. and get as much input as I can. And I'm called a MF. I mean, that's my initials, but that wasn't why he called it.
Yeah.
So that was the first one.
That's crazy.
Didn't take long. Took about 2 months.
So you've seen so many incredible moments in Braves history, baseball history. Does it look different? This might be a tough question to answer, but does the game look different to you through your eyes than it would if Harrison and I were sitting there watching the game live? Like, how do you?
The best way I can answer that is from a scoring standpoint.
So you can enjoy the game, but it's just in a different type of capacity.
Well, I mean, you're enjoying. You're not at church, so you're not just staring down the play, afraid to blink that you might miss something. And you've got the replays that you can take advantage of. So really, but the thing is, when it comes time to make a call, it is so easy for anybody that's not sitting in that seat to make a call.
Right.
When it's your butt in that seat and you're the one talking into the microphone, there's a lot more pressure. Pressure may be too harsh of a word, but there's more. It's weightier.
Right.
That unless you're sitting in that seat, you can't appreciate the gravity of, you're making the call. But I mean, you're sitting, you're right behind home plate and, you got the best seat in the house. Sometimes by being directly behind home plate, you can miss a depth play that's hard to really tell. And one of my favorite all-time players, absolutely, I've talked to him one time in my life, but he was the greatest for life, was Fernando Vina when he played for St. Louis. And there was a play late in the game, and he got the ball behind the second base bag and flipped it to the shortstop. I can't remember his name right now, but he flipped it to the shortstop, and it looked like it went behind him. So E4. And after the game, he waited until after the game, and he called up, and he took the time to, when he called up and talked to the media relations fella that answered the phone, what's the official scorer's name? Instead of, just, hey, you. So when he got on the phone, he goes, Mark, I appreciate you. Let me talk to you a little bit. This is Fernando Vina, and just want to talk to you about that play in the 8th inning. And he goes, and the guy gives you a reason to want to change it. Just players don't do that. They never understood, the old adage, you catch more flies with honey. And he says, you probably couldn't see the angle as best being right behind home plate where you sit, but for some reason I want to say Edgar Renteria. That was the shortstop.
Okay.
No.
And he goes, Eddie should have had it. And if you want to ask Eddie, he'll tell you, because he apologized to me later. I should have had that. And it's like, holy, how quick can I change this call?
Right.
So I said, I'll take care of that for you. No problem. Thank you for calling. And, he gave you a reason to want to change it.
Yeah.
As opposed to so many that were just, if not combative, kinda. That same first year, Mike Schmidt, it was play. Doyle Alexander was the pitcher for the Braves, and he hit a smash right back up the middle, and it hit off of Alexander's foot and carried him over to first base. Ted Simmons is playing first base, and he puts down his glove and just, I guess, forgets to close the glove, and the ball rolls back out of his glove, and Schmidt beats it out. E3.
Right.
the way the scorebook reads. You got to treat each part of the play, and that's something that most people don't realize. The first myth is touch it. Okay, that ain't nowhere in the rule book. There's no such thing as, well, it can't be an error. He didn't touch it. Yes, it can. But the other thing about any kind of play like that is you have to treat it as two separate plays. All right? Because he's like, there's no way Simba's expecting that ball coming at him. It's going up the middle.
Right.
I'm trying to be diplomatic. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's a good point. However, once the ball caromed to him, it was at a slow enough rate. All he has to do is pick it up and step on the base. You were still 5 steps. He was really about 20 steps. You were still 5. And he gruffed something, and but yeah, he called up right in the middle of the game. They'll go back into the clubhouse and pick up the phone and hit the press box button. And the funny thing, I would take advantage of. I've got like 58 Hall of Fame autographs, and I would take advantage of 2 hours, 2.5 hours for the game, especially if a commentator would be with the team, and you pick the right spots. You never interrupt them or anything like that. And Schmidt was working as a color commentator for the Phillies, and he was walking through back in the lounge area with his son and a friend and one of his son's friends. And Mr. Schmidt, could I bother you for an autograph? And he's always been known as, he's a little gruff. He's a little, he's not Mr. Friendly, but he held out his hand and, sure. And he's starting to sign it. And I said, this isn't the first time we've talked. And he kind of paused for a second, like go ahead. And I said, yeah, I've been in the score here, and you me up to check on why I made a ball on a ball you hit that I gave an error on. And he goes, did you change the call? I said, no, I didn't. And his son fell out laughing. He was hysterics. He goes, so you're the one. You're the only guy that's ever told my father no. And I mean, he was just cracking up, and his friend was cracking up, and I could tell Schmidt was having a hard time keeping from laughing himself. But it's kind of, it's cool. It's cool. You get, but when they're nice, I probably change it 90% of the time when they're nice, because they'll have a reason. I got called on my cell phone one night. I actually stopped at the Varsity going home after a game, and my phone rings, and it was George Bell.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever talked to George, but he has a very French accent, kind of startling. But he was playing with the Cubs, and he had hit a ball that was, kind of corkscrewing down the first base line, and it was clearly foul, a foot foul. And Gerald Perry was playing first base, and it went right through Perry's legs. E3. He goes, well, I couldn't believe it either. When I got to the bag, I asked the ump, I said, what happened? He goes, the ball hit a crater just before it got to the bag and kicked it to where it barely went over the flange of the base. He goes, Gerald didn't have a chance. He was not, you don't expect the ball to hop a foot like that. And I said, that's, and once again, I think somewhere in there, he goes, there's no way you could have known, you could tell. So, they give you a reason to want to listen to them and want to change it. I said, I'll take care of that. So guys like that, you get, a guy, like I said, Frank Hooer, he was cool. He was very cool. One night I gave him 2 errors, and he called up after the game. He goes, Mark, that first error, man, that was a horrible play. I deserved that error. But that second one, that was just, man, have you ever been running full tilt towards the tarp and you're running out of room fast? Even if the ball lands 3 feet in front of the tarp, you're pulling up. It's a human nature. And he was just such a cool guy. And I said, well, didn't you play football too? And he laughed. And he goes, well, yeah, I did, but I didn't, tackling dummies move. Tarps don't.
Tarps don't, right?
So, I said, okay, fair enough. I'll take that second one. So, but it was very good.
That's awesome.
It's
How about you scored an All-Star game and you took a trip to the World Series. You want to kind of break those ones down a little bit too?
I guess, let's see, the World Series came first.
What year was that?
I scored in the 91 series. For that one, I scored the 3 home games against the Twins. And one of the neat things, Kent Herbeck was one of my favorite players. I mean, just big, slugging, home run hitting first baseman. And I got to meet him before the game. I went down. I was watching. Nothing ever been. I don't know if y'all have ever had the honor, pleasure, whatever you want to call it, of standing behind the batting cage at an MLB game.
Well, not on the field behind, but I mean, I've been.
Yeah. You got to be right there.
Yeah.
The concussion of that ball hitting the bat is just unreal. It is absolutely mind-blowing how hard they're making contact. So earlier that day, this was before Game 3, the first one in Atlanta, and CBS's Good Morning America came to the stadium, and different members of the crew were interviewing different behind-the-scenes people. So one of them was around, interviewing the groundskeeper, and Mark McEwen, who was a weather guy, he interviewed me. Well, I was up in the press box, and that previous weekend I'd been playing some football and got a black eye. So, he was laughing. He goes, run into a Twins fan outside or something? And I said, no, just a little football accident. So, that was kind of cool. And then so I go down onto the field, and Herbeck came out of the cage, and I just went up to him. Hey, Mr. Herbeck, I just wanted to let you know, even though I'm a Braves guy and I hope you don't do much to us, you're one of my favorite players. And he goes, I appreciate that. And then he pauses for a second. He goes, I've seen you on TV. Now that was pretty cool to hear,
right.
Players say, because he was up at 5 o'clock in the morning watching the CBS morning show.
That's
so that was cool getting to do that. So that was my first World Series in 91.
We do have a question about
question
about the 91 series. Did you yell at Kent for pulling Gant off the bag?
I thought it was a bad call. I think he absolutely pulled him off. You don't have to physically shove him if your glove arm is around his leg and you just lift up.
Yeah.
What's the difference? You're pulling him off the bag. Whether you're knocking him off the bag, pulling him off, that's the same thing. So that was a bad call. But not nearly as bad as Lonnie Skates Smith getting deked second base by Chuck Knobloch. But great series. And
I'm in the middle of watching it right now. So
you get to, and by this point, a nice honor that I had was, even though the other fella had been there longer, I was, by the National League, was considered the lead scorer. And the lady was Katie Feeney, daughter of Chub Feeney, who was the president of the National League at the time. And she was in charge of the official scoring. And so she came to me and she goes, do you want, because you would alternate. So in 91, she goes, do you want to do the LCS or the World Series? I said, I'll take my chances.
Yeah,
I'll do the World Series. If they had lost to Pittsburgh in the LCS, I wouldn't have done anything.
Right.
So I took my chance, and that worked out great. So the next year, just in being fair, it's like, oh, well, I'll do the LCS. That happened to wind up being the 7-game series where Sid slid after the Francisco hit. And yeah, that was pretty wild. That was that game. That was unbelievable memory there.
Yeah. See that live.
Then in 95, I went back and took the World Series. And by this time, there's always 3 official scores in the World Series. There's 1 for an DCS and 2 for the LCS and 3 for the World Series. And they had got it to where it's the home team score, the visitor score, and the president of the Baseball Writers Association, who at the time was Paul White. He wrote for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And so I got to, I did the first 2 games in Atlanta and then went up with the team staff plane, flew up with them on their charter to Cleveland. And God, there, obviously all the hotel rooms were sold out because we stayed in a inn in Richfield where the Cavaliers used to play.
Okay.
I mean, 30 miles outside the city. I mean, wow. And then got to come back home and do game 6 when Justice hit his homer. And then after that game, I went down into the clubhouse where I had no purpose being there, but you take your shots. And so there's these trash cans in the middle of the room. And they're all filled with empty bottles and corks and all this stuff. And I'm like, I went over and I grabbed 10 corks out of the trash can. They were just going to get thrown away. It's like, man, what great party gifts to give to family and friends. Here's a cork from the clubhouse when they won the 95 World Series. And then I scooped out a champagne bottle, and the picture that you see that you put up there on the right, that is a champagne bottle that I plucked out of the trash and had Tom Glavine autographed it. And so he put Tom Glavine, 95 WS MVP. And Tom was a great guy. Tom was a very nice guy. He was a big supporter of service dogs, and he would do a lot of charity work with the proceeds going to training service dogs for disabled people, which was, that very, very nice fella. And
that's incredible. Then
I did one of the Yankees ones. It wasn't the next year when they imploded. So it would have been the one after that, I guess, 98 or 99. I did that. So I did 3 World Series.
Wow.
And then after those 3 World Series, I did the 2000 All-Star game.
Yep. And that's the ring I had there.
That's the ring, yes. And so it was kind of funny because they were having some fun with me. And the fellow from the league, I can't remember his name off the top of my head real quick, but he goes, now, you don't get paid for doing it. And I'm like, of course not. It's an honor to be able to do it. He goes, well, you do get a ring. It's like, really? You want a National League or American League players ring? So that picture you're seeing, that's the National League players ring. So yeah, that was very neat. Got to do the score. It was funny because there was 2 of us scoring that game. I forget the other gentleman, but before the game, he was a writer. I think it was Steve Hummel. They called him the commissioner. He wrote for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Nice fella. And he came over. He goes, if you need me, you know where I'm sitting, but you're not need me. So, okay, I guess I'm doing this game solo tonight.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and then I did the Futures game, which was the Sunday before the All-Star game. And being the scorer, I was the sole MVP vote. And that was the one that Sean Burrows was the MVP.
Oh, wow.
So
That's cool.
I was that. So that was quite a treat. That was an unbelievable week. And then
And 2000, the All-Star game was, where was it? Was
that was
that
in Turner
that was
Field.
in Turner Field? That was Turner Field.
Yeah, they moved over in 96 or 97 because it was after the Olympics of 96.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
So we got a question from one of our in the chat. Not sure if it's been asked, but do you have a favorite Braves field?
I have to say Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, just because that was my first, and there was so many memories there, including the World Series that we won, and there was just something about it. Even though it was a horrible cookie cutter, field that had a horrible outfield fence. Here's a name you probably don't know. A fellow named Brian Asselstein. Nice fellow. This is like 77. He was a very promising player for the Braves. And the outfield fence was chain link.
Oh, God.
And he dove into it to catch a ball one time and got his cleats caught up in the chain link fence and blew out his ankle, and that was it.
Dang.
And if you remember back when Murphy hurt his hand and his playing streak was in danger, it was plexiglass around the outfield, but it was in 3 different sheets. So there was a small slit in between the thing. They did nothing to fill in.
Oh.
And when Murphy went back into the fence, he stuck his hand out and it pinched.
Yeah.
And he had to get 8 stitches.
Oh,
dang.
And they're like, oh, there goes the streak. And, he was at about 1,300 consecutive games at this point. And, so, that takes care of the streak. He had to get 8 stitches. We hope he's back in a week. Well, for those that don't know, he pinch hit the next night and hit a pinch hit home run off of Doc Gooden.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Those guys are just different. Like I said before, we had Steve Traxel on a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about the 96 World Series, and they were coming off the bleachers, and Roberto Hernandez caught Cal Ripken in the nose and shattered his nose after the team picture. And Cal got his nose reset and played the All-Star game. And we were just like, wait, what? Like, those guys are just built different than
it was a different era. Yes.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as a hangnail or any of that. They were built different.
A guy today misses a month with those injuries. Now those guys used to roll back.
It's a trip to the DL. I'll tell you a quick Cal Ripken story. Again, talking character. The Braves, back when they were on TBS, they had one season. I want to say it was somewhere in the 90s. And on each Friday night game, they would have a superstar be the third man in the booth. And I got a lot of autographs in that capacity. Ryan Sandberg was one, Tony Gwynn was one, and George Brett was one, and Cal Ripken was one. So I went up to Cal, and after a little bit of small talk and everything, I said, I'd be honored if I could get your autograph. So he goes, yeah, sure, no problem. And I hand him the ball and the pen. The first thing he does is he takes the pen and writes a little dot on his palm. He wanted to make sure that the pen would work as soon as he started writing. Who does that?
Someone that signed a lot of autographs.
Yeah, it's just little things like that are just good. That knowing that is cooler than the autograph itself.
Right.
But
That's
I can
amazing.
look but the neat thing is with all the autographs is you can look at it and immediately know the story behind it.
Right.
And it just memories of getting it, and each one that has its own little special thing. And another great one was Robin Yount. and he was a coach for the Brewers at this point. And it was a Sunday afternoon, and I knew where I needed to be in between the clubhouse door and the bus that was heading to the airport. So I positioned myself perfectly, and here he comes out, and Mr. Out, I'd be honored. He goes, "Yeah, sure thing, kid. Hot beer." So I got to hold his beer.
Good old days.
Well, I was signing him about, it's like, but just little things like that are so cool.
Yeah.
And another one, tragic story. If you remember Ryan Friels, does that name ring a bell at all? He was from the 80s.
I've heard the
Played
name.
for Cincinnati. Played for Cincinnati. He was an outfielder for Cincinnati. Yeah, I mean, he was the original dive into walls. He had several concussions, diving into walls and such, and he wound up committing suicide a few years later, likely as a result of whatever that dreaded ACD or whatever when you have
CTE. The CTE. Yeah.
Yes, and but so I was in. I've always been the guy who runs the pools and does. I actually started. I started a football league in 1984, a fantasy football league. It's the longest running, and it's still running, and like 4 originals out of the 12. Longest consecutive running league in the world. And I started a baseball one 2 years later. And so a buddy of mine in the first series of the following year, after I'd won the World Series, was against the Reds. And I, bored him with the story of how I won the World Series, which was, the guy who was playing was killing me in everything, hitting except stolen base. So I had one chance to win, sweep pitching and win steals. So I took out Manny Ramirez, and this is during his unbelievable year, but I took him out because I had no chance of winning homers, runs, or RBIs, and put in Ryan Friels. As funny as that sounds. And Friels stole like 7 bases that week. So he won my World Series. So my buddy goes down and he comes back up. He goes, "I got a gift for you." And he hands me the ball. And my team name was the Bed Snakes. And I'm looking at it, and it goes, "Proud to be a bed snake. Champions, Ryan Friels." And he had gone down and he told Ryan the story. He goes, "Yeah, our buddy, I got a buddy, and you won his World Series for him, and this, that, and the other." And he, so he's doing it, and he's found out. And then at the end of it, he kind of looks at me. He goes, "No, wait a minute." So so I won him his World Series, won him a bunch of money, won him a trophy, and now he's getting a free ball autographed. And the guy goes, "Well, he's the official scorer." He goes, "Oh, think you'd like a bat?" So, it was pretty cool.
That is awesome.
But getting into the press box, sticking around the press box, and then you get your chance and you do the best with it that you can.
Yeah, man, that is absolutely incredible. That's so cool.
Did you find? I mean, I'm thinking about this from a fan perspective, but did you find it easier or harder to be the official scorer for your team? Like, does that enter your thought process
Harder.
as you're scoring games?
It was harder because, well, one of the main reasons that the players really, griped about me was apparently in every other stadium in the major leagues, there was just an immense amount of home team cooking scoring. And I didn't do that. I called it straight up and down. And God, if I had $1 for every time I had a player tell me that's a hit in New York, that's a hit in St. Louis, that's a hit in Los Angeles. And I'm like, well, I don't score in those cities. In Atlanta, it's an error. The play should have been made. Yeah. And, you're telling them stuff they don't want to hear. But, I don't think I went over the line, you're tougher on your kids. because you're their father, that kind of thing. That didn't really come into it, but like I mentioned earlier, it was hard growing up a fan, going to your first game when you was age 7, and going to your Braves games, and you grew up, that's your team. And now as a whole, your team hates you. Doesn't hate you personally,
Right.
but hates you because you're the official scorer. So you're the one we got to hate.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made it a little difficult. Getting to the story. So nothing will top this the rest of the night. We got a long way to go, but nothing will top this one. John Smoltz.
Oh yeah, here we go.
So this all started. The funny thing was, at the very beginning, it started with the 92 LCS. And there were 3 votes for MVP. And that was when Sid slid game. And Doug Drabeck was going to win it. And then the Braves came back, and, winning teams, that kind of unwritten rule, they got to have the MVP.
Right.
Well, the only one for Atlanta was Smoltz. He pitched 3 games out of the 7. It was just phenomenal. Well, there was a split. It was tied 1-1, and I was the deciding vote. And I voted for Smoltz. So it was because of me, he won that MVP. Okay, that's number 1. A couple years later, there was a play where he was pitching against the Dodgers, and Hideo Nomo was the base runner, and somebody got a hit. Smoltz is backing up third, and Nomo comes around, and the ball gets bobbled a little bit, and he scores. And at first, I gave it hit RBI, and Smoltz calls up later, and he was very cordial. He goes, "You may not have noticed, but he paused. He paused." And that, that's the rule. In the rule book is no matter how horrible a throw may be, if the runner never breaks stride and scores, you give him an RBI, no error. But Smoltz said, if you go back and look at it, he paused. He came to third and he paused and then took off again when the ball got bobbled. Then I went back, I looked at it and he's right. So I changed it to an unearned run. Okay. So that was my first 2 interactions with Smoltz. Everything was great. So fast forward to a couple years later, and Glavine was pitching. Andrew Jones was in center. This was like around 97, 98. And another rule in the book, you cannot charge an error on a mental misplay. I mean, it's right there in black and white. You cannot give an error. So for one of the, you can count them on one hand, one of the incredible few times Andrew Jones misplayed a ball. Somebody, because he always played a real shallow center field.
Right.
And somebody hit a line drive and he took like 2 steps in and he was cooked because that ball was just taken off. And, he couldn't get back on it in time. It went over his head. Well, that's a double. And they wound up scoring like 3 runs. And so I get a phone call. And it would not be uncommon for a fan to get through the scientifically hard switchboard at Atlanta Stadium. So you could get a call from anybody. If you fake who you are, they'll patch you through. So guys laughing, I'm in the second row, and the fella, holds the phone up behind me. He goes, "It's for you." And I'm like, "Oh God." So, hello. And he goes, "How can you call that a double? That's got to be an error." And I mean, he's going off. And I didn't know who it was. Having fun with him, and I'm like, well, no, it can't be that because I'm the official scorer and I called it a double, so it can't be an error. Blah, 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 blah. I said, well, and then I tried to justify it. So it was a mental mistake. The rule book says you can't charge an error on a mental mistake. And the guy goes, I don't give a blankety blank what the rule book says. Okay, wrong answer.
Yeah.
He says that, and I said, well, if you don't care what the rule book says, then I don't give a blank what you have to say. And hung up. So I handed the phone back to the guy and I said, who was that? He goes, I don't know. He goes, I said, well, where did it come from? He goes, clubhouse. Whose clubhouse? Ours. Oh, God. So all of a sudden, everybody's getting out their binoculars and they're looking to see who is unaccounted for. And the only one that was unaccounted for was Smoltz.
Oh, no.
So that's who it had to be. So that was when the worm turned. That was when any had for me or the official scoring position went right out the window at that point. So now I'm on record as telling a major league ball player I don't give a what do you think? So fast forward to 2001, 2002, whatever his first year of being a closer. Okay.
Yep.
So the first week of the season, he pitched like on a Tuesday, and now it's Saturday night. He hadn't pitched the rest of the week. They're playing the Mets. They're losing 4-3 going to the ninth. And Bobby Cox wants to get him a inning because he hadn't pitched much. And he goes out and gives up 8 runs.
Oh.
Why Bobby didn't take him out way before he could give up 8 runs, I don't know. But he gave up 8 runs. So as a competitor, as a talent, as between the lines, I have nothing but total respect for Smoltz and his abilities and what he did and what he's an absolute first ballot Hall of Famer. No question asked. But as a person, he goes back into the clubhouse, and the competitive nature of him, you would expect. He goes immediately into the clubhouse to look at the replay. What went wrong? Something went horribly wrong. I got to fix it. Okay. So, as it turns out, there's a play in the middle of the inning where Brian, I think it's something Christensen. He said it was a Mets player.
Jason? The Jason Christensen? I don't think that
was a first name. He was a bit player. He probably got 10 hits a year. But so he hits like a 108 mile per hour off the bat, one hop off of Smoltz's knee that flies all the way out in the left field. Okay. Smoltz figures, well, if that's an error, half the runs are now unearned. So it's his opinion that he should have made that play. Are you kidding me? There's no way. He never touched it. He never came close to putting a glove on it. It was hit so hard it went all the way to the left fielder. I mean, just ridiculous to think that. So you recall for 24 hours, you can remember. You have a photographic memory of anything that was close, any scoring call that was close, you remember vividly.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I get a phone call from the Braves the next morning. Well, Smoltz wants to, ask about the, play. And I'm like, and I'm trying to think. I'm like, I don't remember. I said, let me get my score sheet. So I got my score sheet to see if there was something I'd written down that, it's like, there's nothing on here. I don't see how. there was a question on anything, I said, I'm not scoring today. Do me a favor, go over to the matrix room and look at it. Get them to bring it up, a replay, and look at it. If it's something I should consider, get back with me and we'll figure something out. He calls me back about 20 minutes later. He goes, no, not in 100 years, no. So then Smoltz tries to get, so I said, okay, fine. I'm going to go mow the grass. So he calls me back a little while later and he goes, well, Leo was asking about it, Mazzoni. He goes, Leo was asking about it. I said, well, did you tell him the same thing you told me? There's no way. He goes, well, I kind of sent him in a different direction. So, so I go out and I'm fixing to walk out the door and mow the grass. So he calls me back. He goes, who'd you say scoring today? I said, Mike is. Well, it's an hour before the game. Nobody's here. Oh, God. Okay. Let me put on a pair of pants and I'll drive down there. If he shows up, call me on my cell phone. I'll turn around and go home. So I get all the way to the parking lot. Phone rings. He's here. It was daylight savings, and he had forgot to, move his clock up an hour.
Yeah.
So it's like
that daylight savings.
Daylight savings caught me again. So I'm like, once again, I'm conscientious about this stuff. I'm here. I'm going to go in and go to the matrix room and look at a replay of it just so I can, with a clear conscience, say, hey, I looked at it again. And I went up there and I'm like slack-jawed. It's like, there's no way. There's no remote way. There's no legal way this could be a hit or an error. And I'm calling people over, the damn game's going on, but I'm calling people over. Am I missing something here? Well, universally, no, you ain't missing nothing. That's not an error. Yeah. So I go back over to the press box. I say, that one's not being changed. He goes, well, and this is where it is the happy ending. It's not the final ending, but it was the happy ending. So I get back over there and my buddy goes, well, I just got another phone call. I'm like, okay, who this time? He goes, Mad Dog. Okay, you know who Mad Dog is?
Maddox.
Very good. So he goes, Mad Dog wants to talk to you. Well, no. And to me, he's the greatest pitcher of all time.
Yeah, hands down.
Pitcher.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not dominator, not flamethrower. No, he makes you look like a fool throwing 87. Yeah. Anybody that can do that, as long as he did it, he's the man. He's it.
I agree.
So, I said, I'll tell you what, tell him I'll meet him in the club. He wasn't pitching that day. Tell him I'll meet him in the clubhouse entrance when I'm going home. I'll see him in 5 minutes. Okay. So I'm walking down there and I'm walking the clubhouse and this is back when he was still wearing the glasses. That's the prototypical look for me when he looked like a librarian. He calls me in, and this is one of the other few rare times I would first name it. Mark, I appreciate you coming down. No problem, Greg. He's on my turf now. So he's Greg. He's not Mr. Maddox anymore. So he goes, I'm why I asked you to stop in. I said, I got a real good idea. And he starts to try to justify it. And, it's tough to justify the unjustifiable.
Right.
And before he got in too deep, I said, Greg, I looked at this thing 10 times. There's no way. And there's no way. And I don't know how well you knew Maddox's mannerisms. And, he could cuss like a sailor. And, you could hear him when he was pitching.
Yeah.
And if he missed a spot by an inch, you could hear him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
And he's yelling at himself. He's cussing himself out. He ain't cussing out the umps.
Right.
There were stories you would hear later where the umpire would ask the catcher, "Is he cussing at me?" Nope. He missed his spot. He's mad at himself. So he goes, "Well, blank and A, sounds like you did your homework." I'm like, yeah, I'd like to think I did. He goes, "Well, let's approach this from a different direction. Now, you have to know the origin start of Smoltz in Atlanta to appreciate this. His first year, which I believe was 89, he started off the year like 1-11, 2-11, something horrible at the All-Star break. And he went to a sports psychologist, whatever. So he went to a shrink at the All-Star break. The fellow's name was Jack Llewellyn. And Jack was a miracle worker because second half of the year, Smoltz went like 12-1.
Wow.
But he never got rid of the stigma of going to the shrink. So Maddox goes, "Well, here's the deal. We don't have a guy here that has the mental capacity to handle an ERA of 87. How do you respond to that?" I'm trying to keep from just cracking up. He's pulling out all the bullets at this point.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, yeah, I could see that. And then I just, got serious. I said, you guys, I've idolized you guys my whole life. And as a fan, I would go right back upstairs and change that call for you right now. No questions asked. But as a scorer, I would have to quit tomorrow. I'd have to resign because I would have lost all credibility.
Integrity.
There's no reason between the lines for me to change that call.
Yep. We do have a comment though.
But if Smoltz was not and I see the question there, and my answer to that one is that should have been a 4-base error on consecutive.
Yeah, for sure.
I would have called it that. I would have gotten in trouble probably, but I would have called it a 4-base error. My reasoning would be if it hit off his head and then hit off the wall and the guy stopped at second, everybody in the world would have called that a 2-base error.
Right.
Why should it be a homer just because his head was hard enough for it to bounce over there?
Or big enough at that point. But that's a different conversation.
So that's my answer for that one. So he was, so if Smoltz had not been the fella he was, I would have never had a 15-minute one-on-one conversation with Greg Maddox. So, from that perspective, happy ending. That was a very cool memory.
Yeah.
Now,
that's awesome.
Now, Smoltz keeps it going all year long.
No.
He keeps it going. He won't let it go. So he's talking to another one of my buddies field one day, and he's going, and Smoltz was, and again, we were very similar in a lot of things. He ran the pools in the clubhouse, and he did the fantasy league. He did all that in the Braves clubhouse. And he's asking, well, how do you do these fantasy leagues? How do you work it up? What are the categories? And blah, blah, blah. And he's telling him this. You go, well, you have this and this and this and this. And then you get to the pitchers and this, and ERA. And he knew that he owned Smoltz in his league. And they get the ERA. And he goes, well, you can thank Frederickson for that. And he goes, that guy hates me. And the fact, my buddy goes, he doesn't hate any. But he had to obviously side with Smoltz. That's who he works for.
Yeah.
So, but he don't hate anybody and blah 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 blah. So, he's holding that grudge. And then the fellow that ran the engineering controls for the radio broadcast that would travel all over the country with the team, a fellow named Baker. God, now I can't remember his first name, but Baker. And I would see him after they come back from a road trip. I said, "What's the latest?" He goes, "Well, last I heard, the ball was running up his arm. It was that clear of an error." I mean, it was just a fishtail that was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So the Atlanta Journal-Constitution got a new beat writer that year, a fellow named Dave O'Brien. Mark O'Brien. Wasn't Dave O'Brien. He's a broadcaster for ESPN.
Yeah.
O'Brien was his name. So one of his first articles was on Smoltz, because Smoltz was just tearing it up. He led the league in saves and was just, he hadn't given up a run since that day.
Yeah.
But his ERA was still 6, because you just can't get rid of 8 earned runs pitching 2 innings a week.
Right.
Like,
Uh-oh.
You're leading the league in saves and this, that, and the other. And, their game with an ERA of 6 all back in April, he wasn't going to let it go. So now I'm like, my God, if he doesn't make the All-Star team, if he's got a clause in his contract that every player does, if he don't make the All-Star team and it costs him $250,000, he's going to put a hit out on me. So he makes the All-Star team. Thank God. He keeps going. He keeps trucking. He keeps trucking. And he's going to set the all-time record. I mean, blow away. I think it was Bobby Thigpen was a record holder for most saves in a season. And he was going to blow it away. He was going to annihilate it. He was on pace for like 65 saves. It was obscene. But he still had an ERA of like 4. And this is in August. And they're talking Cy Young, because nobody else was really tearing it up. He's going to obliterate the all-time save. Like, oh my God. They've got cost him a couple of million. And who's going to blame. And fortunately, the Braves were up like 20 games heading into September, and his elbow started acting up on him a little bit, so they shut him down. That was the year that Randy Johnson came over from Seattle, I think it was, to Houston, and he won Cy Young in the National League. But I was like sweating bullets there, because it was like, holy smokes, that was close. And then the final hypocritical thing was, so a good friend of mine was the AP head honcho at AP. And he was the one that always presented the Braves 400 Club Player of the Year, the off-season banquet. So he's up there, and Smoltz wins the trophy, plaque, whatever it was. Yeah, John, what made that first season go like it did? You just made that transition, and there was nothing to it. He goes, well, I learned early on that if you have a bad outing, you've got to put it out of your mind immediately. And he's laughing as he's telling me this story.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm like, you're kidding me. I didn't say kidding. You're kidding me. He goes, no. And I'm like, that hypocritical piece of garbage. And it was but it's like, unreal. Yeah. But, it comes with the territory. It's not a popularity contest.
No.
I've been chewed out. Fella from Cincinnati chewed me out one day. Deion Sanders was playing for the Reds, and he took off, and he was going to get caught stealing easily, and gets hung up, and then Braves throw it in the house. E5 or whoever the error was on. Yeah. And on a play like that, when they throwing the ball back and forth 4 or 5 times, each one of them 4 or 5 guys gets an assist. Even though it's not made. I didn't know if you knew that.
Mm-hmm.
So, credit catcher, shortstop, third baseman with an assist and an error on the second baseman for dropping the throw or throwing it in the seats or something like that. And at the time, Sanders had stolen like 24 consecutive bases or something. It was a Cincinnati record or something. And this guy just blew a cork. Yeah. I mean, he was just, you can't get him caught stealing on you. Yeah, I can, because if they didn't mess up the play, he was caught stealing. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
And, so that guy had it in for me. And then the other one was a fella from Toronto. The most hated player ever in Toronto was Shea Hillenbrand.
Really?
They hated him. And he badmouthed the organization or something happened. And Jimmy Key was one of their all-time favorites. Well, there was in the rule book, the way you judge whether an error is, how you score, is routine effort by the player. Not everyone's routine effort is the same. Okay? More or less saying, if you're playing out of position, your routine effort is not what Brooks Robinson's was. So, guy hits Braves have runner on first, and a guy hits chopper to third, and Hillenbrand's playing third. And I mean, this is like in August, and they're ready to just ship him off. And he was gone the next year. And he gets the ball, and he gets ready to throw to first. And then he thinks about, do I go to second? And he mentally got confused. That's not an error according to the rule book. Okay. Mental fielder's choice.
Right.
Well, that cost Jimmy Key like 3 earned runs. And this guy went berserk, wanting Hillenbrand to get, because they don't like Hillenbrand, so he should have gotten an error. And B, our precious Jimmy Key, you just gave 3 earned runs. And it's like, I know it sure seems like that should be the way it is, but that's not the way the rule book is.
Right. Crazy.
That's the Bible. I can't, rewrite the rule book. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And he popped court. So
wow.
you'd have that every now and then.
Wow. All right. I got one last thing before we let you go. You scored Randy Johnson's perfect game. Now, what the hell was that like? I can't even imagine, first of all, seeing Randy Johnson in person, and second of all, seeing such a dominant performance like that. That
was very awesome. And it was one of those things. I looked at the Braves lineup, and really, other than Chipper Jones, there wasn't much happening that night. And I crisscrossed paths with Pete Van Wieren before the game. And all these guys were super nice fellas. And I said, Pete, I'll give you Braves hits plus 8 versus Johnson strikeouts tonight. He goes, I wouldn't touch that. No way. So, I mean, it was kind of in the air.
It was already,
something might happen tonight. And, anytime you have a no-hitter going on, much less perfect game. I mean, a perfect game is a perfect game. The score doesn't do anything.
Fair.
There's nothing to call. Now,
there's no close plays you have to make a call on.
No, there's nothing to consider. Now, that's the antithesis of the other game that I did in 1991 with the combined no-hitter, where with 2 out in the bottom of the 9th, Darren Jackson hit a chopper to Pendleton, and he kind of olayed it, and I gave him an E5. Okay, that was a controversial call. No question. It was not a homer call. If you want to really stretch it, it's like that was a no-hitter call.
Right. There's
kind of sort of unwritten rule of hit of a game's got to be, kind of like semi-legitimate. But that isn't why I called it that. And so yeah, there was a lot of controversy on that. And my answer back to that is, okay, if I gave him a hit, what would that have been? Controversial. Okay.
Right. Either
No
way.
matter what I call it, it's going to be controversial. So it's a controversial no-hitter. And it wound up being the first combined no-hitter in the history of the National League. So that was kind of cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
But for Johnson, as the game's going on, and it's just everybody was overmatched. I mean, it wasn't like, they were having to make some plays behind him. I think there was like one hard hit ball the whole night. It was just kind of like, it's going to take something real flukish.
Yeah.
And when he got past Chipper in the seventh, for the last out of the seventh, and you looked at the Braves 5 through 9, and you're like, there's no way in hell.
Yeah, right.
And that's exactly what happened. And I remember he struck out Eddie Perez to end the game as a pinch hitter. And he was very, very nice fellow. I went down and I went through proper channels on this one. Fellow's name was Mike Swanson. He was the PR director for the Diamondbacks at the time. And I wanted to give Johnson a copy of the score sheet. And he was very appreciative. And, I asked him if he'd sign mine, and, he did. And the peculiar thing about that was he signed it, and it's just, you can't really tell in that picture, but it's very, the only thing you can read is the 51.
Is the number. Yeah. I was
Is
just
the number
looking at
51. And I'm like, nobody's ever going to believe that's him. So they had a card show near my house one time, and PSA was there, and I took it over to him, and I didn't say anything other than, do you know who this is? Guy goes, that's Randy Johnson. That kind of blew me away. I said, how did you know that? He goes, well, he's got 2 signatures. When he's signing for a fee or he's at a show, because I went online and looked at his, on the internet at his signatures, and, it's Randy Johnson, and buddy, you can read every letter. And that's how he signs when he's signing for money. But when he signs for, just at the ballpark, that's his signature. And the guy says, this signature is a lot more wanted than his formal one. So I got it PSA'd, and so that was good. But yeah, that was a no doubter night. Couple ending with a couple quick stories. Skip Carey, and he was a good friend. And his one of his sons, it wasn't Chip, but my wife's mother was an office manager at a doctor's office that he took the son to. So we had a little bit of a connection there, and I knew him from back in the Atlanta Hawks days. And super nice fella, but he would real quickly would give me, if he didn't agree with the call, he'd mention it. We love Mark to death, but I don't know what he was thinking about there. And so one night, and my buddy would tip me off if somebody important was going to come into the press box. Well, Jimmy Carter was coming in. He goes, he'll be here in the bottom of the third. Like, okay. So you knew where you needed to be, to where you knew the door he'd come in, so you could diagonally intersect him. So all of it worked out perfect. You had to hurry up and get back because you had scoring again. And so he still had 2 Secret Service guys with him. And he goes, so I'm, kind of hustling up to him, and I'm a big dude. And, you can see these 2 Secret Service guys kind of bow up. And I'm sticking him, President Carter, it's an honor. It's an honor to meet you. He's a nice fellow. He goes, yeah, well, what do you do around here? I said, well, I'm the official scorer. And he stops. He goes, I know you. Okay, now that's pretty. That even beats the Ken Herbeck.
Right?
Yeah.
I know you. And I'm, waiting. And he goes, you're the poor fellow that Skip's always giving a hard time to on the air. Yeah, that'd be me.
Yeah.
So, to have a president say, I know you,
That's cool.
that was pretty cool. One final quick Smoltz story. Right at the advent of player introductions, when relievers would come in and they'd have their music. Well, when Smoltz was, the closer, they said, what music you want us to play? And he blew them off. I don't care what you play. The next game that he came in, they played Beat by ABBA.
Yeah.
Classic.
Care what you
story.
wish for.
He stops. He's out left. He's out in right field coming in from the bullpen. He stops and looks up at him. And it's like, he kind of nodded. He's like, okay, you made your point. And he picked a song the next night. So that was pretty funny there.
That's
Oh
so
my
good.
God, that is funny.
Lots of good memories. Lots of good memories.
Mark, thank you so much for taking us down that. I mean, what an incredible career. And all these stories were absolutely incredible. I'm sure you got millions more. We'll have to have you on again. You can share some more with us, but
it's a lot of fun. It's like the song goes, glory days.
Absolutely.
When you get old, you're looking back on your glory days, and memories are what keeps you going.
Yeah. Well, and that's what this community is we just love hearing baseball stories from all angles. And this is one we've never gotten before. So really want to thank you for that and sharing everything that you brought. Absolutely incredible. And we'll definitely be in touch. Thank you so much for sharing.
I look forward to it. I had a great time. Thanks, guys.
Of course.
Yeah, amazing.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take care, bud.
Take care.
Wow. That was really stinking cool. That's a lot of stories and history that he has seen.
That is like an obscene amount of history that one person has been
Yeah,
middle of experienced all day.
We didn't even get to some of the other stuff. Like he was a scorer at like a Dominique and Larry Bird game. Like you can see him. It's like his background. I think he's right here.
We didn't
He's
even
in the. I mean.
Yeah, we didn't even get into the deep into that combined no hitter where he wore a lot of bad publicity for that for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean he's got the Emmy. Was it an Emmy award for the NFL work? It's stupid.
He still does stuff for ESPN. Like I mean, we will definitely have to have him on to get into like that stuff at some point. But holy smokes. Absolutely crazy.
That was wild. I mean, I'm not even sure where we go from here because that was like I said, it's like I wanted popcorn in a blanket because that was like baseball story time.
Yeah, that was absolutely incredible. All right. We'll try to move on. We'll try to be semi-quick. I know we're like an hour and 40 in. So here we go. Dolis Garcia to the Phillies, 1 year, $10 million. Could this be the best value of the offseason so far?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, we talked about the fact that he and Heim got non-tendered and we're like, he's had his challenges, but like you look at his numbers and this is the guy that hit 227 last year with 19 and 75 in 135 games, only at 135 Ks. He doesn't walk. I get all that. His OBP's low, but I mean, not a bad bat to have in your lineup most nights
for $10 million.
For $10 million bucks. I mean, yeah. This could be one of the steals of the offseason. He was still a nearly 3-WAR player last year. He can still play.
Yeah, I think he's got a little bit in him. Michael thinks he's washed. I mean, he could be. I don't know. Again, Phillies are weird to me. I don't know which way they're going, but it's a $10 million tryout. It's 1 year.
It is, and if the guy gives you what he gave you last year, which is a 3-WAR player that hits 19 and 75. For $10 million bucks, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. Upgrade at a low price tag, a slugger. The value is fine, but does this move the needle for the Philippines? I think that's an autocorrect, but yeah, for the Phillies.
I don't know if the Philippines cares where Adolis Garcia plays, but I mean, maybe he's got a big fan base over there. I don't know.
Yeah,
But no,
absolutely
I don't.
incredible.
Does it move the needle for the Phillies? No, I mean he's basically a slightly better version of Castellanos, and cheaper. But you still have Castellanos. You still have to get rid of the dude. And at this point, you may just have to have him be the fourth outfielder, or just outright DFA him and pay him the money. Like I don't know what you do with Castellanos.
I've seen some reports today, and it's not pretty. It's with Castellanos. It's not pretty. I don't know what they're gonna do there. He's owed too much to just kind of eat it. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, you owe the guy $20 million. Nobody wants his contract. And I can't say I blame him. I mean, not Castellanos isn't terrible, but I don't think that he's worth $20 million anymore. But that's the deal when you sign a contract. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
And you knew going into it he's not a good defender. You knew going into it that he had some limitations. And that's not new. Like, that's not new news. This is a guy that in 4 years in Philadelphia is a cumulative 2 WAR player. Like, you haven't gotten much out of him. And it's been that way for 4 years.
Yep.
I mean, aside from like 3 good seasons, he's been a average or below average player his whole career.
You guys never cease to. I mean,
man.
It moved the needle for North Korea. That was funny. Not vanilla, but Manila.
Jeez.
I can't with you guys.
We're trying to have a serious baseball show here, guys. What are you doing?
Here we go. Come on.
Come on now.
Okay, since on a serious note, but not really, Luke Weaver, 2 years, $22 million. I ask this again, Harrison. What are the Mets doing? They're just taking all of the Yankees' bad bullpen arms.
The Mets now have the last 3 Yankees closers, who all underperformed on their team. And for an organization that just does not want to be little brother, they just keep taking the Yankees scraps. They took Soto. I mean, I wouldn't call them scraps, but like they weren't interested in keeping him. They've taken their last 3 closers that all underperformed. They literally, if you don't want to be little brother, you need to stop acting like little brother.
I got nothing other than just laughing at this point. And I said it last week or last show, like I feel bad for Mets fans because this is what's this is what they're doing to their fans.
Yeah.
Like what is this?
I don't know. And all the money you have, all the talk of building a monster, and this is what you got.
They could convert him to a starter. I don't think they're going to do that. They have the 3 young kids. They're not. I don't think he's going to be a starter. The Mets, the great value Yankees.
Yeah, it's the Kirkland brand Yankees to the Timu Yankees. I like that better. Timu Yankees. Yeah. I mean, and in Luke Weaver's defense, he was really good in 2004, and he was good for most of last year until later in the year when he kind of fell apart. I think the Mets are hoping that he's a lower cost guy they can turn around. But again, like you keep signing these guys that make everybody go, what? Like I don't there clearly is no plan in New York. They have no plan for their offseason. They have no plan for that roster because you keep adding pieces that don't fit and letting the pieces that do fit go.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell are we doing? Honestly, like I'm here for it. I would love to see the Mets completely just full on implode. And bring the circus, pop up the tent. Let's bring the circus to town. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, I'm lost. Like, I mean, tell me you have the most money in the league and you don't care how you spend it without telling me you have the most money in the league and you don't care how to spend it. I mean, it's just like you said, there's no plan, there's no blueprint, there's nothing. You're not addressing what your team needs. I don't get it.
Serious question though, Nick. Do you think anybody in their front office watches baseball? I'm just curious.
I'm gonna go with a no.
That's how it feels. Like, I'm not the smartest baseball guy out there, but I look at the moves they're making, and I look at the players they're bringing in, look at the lineup they're creating, the roster they're creating, and I'm kind of going, you haven't solved any of your problems. You've done nothing to do anything remotely close to making this team better. Everything they've done is a step backwards.
Yeah. And at this point, I feel so bad for Mets fans that I wouldn't hold it against them if they wanted to jump ship to another team. At this point, like, do it. I did. This is.
I don't.
It's embarrassing. It's flat. This is worse than the Red Sox, and that's saying something for me.
I mean, that is saying a lot.
At least the Red Sox aren't doing anything to make themselves work. You know what I mean? Like, they're not doing anything. Fine, they're not going to get worse. But you are spending serious cash to make your team worse. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't know how Cohen can sit there and tell the fans that we are trying to build a serious contender and look at the body of work from the last year and say, yeah, I feel good about what we're doing. How does David Stearns survive this?
He can't. There's no way, right?
I don't see a world in which David Stearns is still the GM this time next year.
If you are
now, granted, they could come out in January and sign everybody, and we'll look like fools for even saying this. But as it stands right now, they have done zero to make this team better. Zero. They've done zero to improve the obvious areas of issue, like starting pitching. Yeah, they've done nothing, and now reports are coming out that they don't want to offer any of these free agent pitchers long-term contracts. They're going to go try to find other options.
Yeah, they're going to trade, and they're banking on those 3 kids to bail them out. And they're still too young. They're too raw. They have to develop still.
You tried the bargain bin last year, and it didn't work. Well, why are you doing it again?
I would say Clay Holmes worked out a lot better than we initially thought. We thought that was going to be a train wreck.
Clay Holmes worked out fine. Other than that, you had zero, like, good starting pitching.
Yeah, somehow Frankie Montas can still find a job and hasn't pitched for 8 years. That one blows my mind. I don't understand how he.
And I know they're banking on Manaea being back, and I know that they don't think Sangl will repeat the dumpster fire that he was last year. Although he might even get traded this offseason. Who knows? You got McLean, who you're banking on becoming, taking a huge step forward and becoming one of your top guys. You got the young kids, but you look at that rotation. You have zero proven pitchers, and I would say Manaea is the closest, but that's a guy who's been like hot and cold his whole career.
Yeah, flat cheese. Like, I'm sorry, bud. My own team hurts my brain. I get it.
It has to be disheartening as a Mets fan to just watch this happen, because it looks like they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, dude's got an open checkbook and shops the clearance aisle. Ryan, yeah. TJ Maxx and Ross, that's where he's shopping right now for sure.
Well, this is like the kid whose mother gives him $20 and he goes, instead of buying like 2 nice things, he buys 10 crappy things. Spends the same money, but it comes home with a pile of crap.
Yeah. I just, man. I mean, Mets are waiting for next year to give a blank check to Skubal. I mean, maybe. But again, he's got a choice. Skubal's got a choice, and if he's got a choice, he's probably not going there. If they're still a train wreck, there's no way.
Well, and Skubal is fantastic, but Skubal alone doesn't fix that team.
No,
he doesn't. You have so many holes now in that lineup. You got holes in that. I guess the bullpen's probably better than it was. You got holes all through the rotation.
Brutal.
I mean, it's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah. I think I don't think the Mets can have another year like last year, and for Cohen to pay out of his pocket for what, a 10th straight year to cover the losses without changing your GM, right? You would have to.
Yes. I mean, I don't know how you keep going down this path. I mean, and all of the Facebook pages and press, I mean, they are just tearing this front office apart. It's just every article is just ripping these guys apart.
Because it doesn't make sense. Like, yes, it's $11 million a year, right? It's not a big spend, but like, why?
Yeah.
Put it towards a piece you need. Like you said, I just don't get it. I really don't. But
no, and the Polanco signing and trying to slot that in like he's a replacement for Pete because David Stearns is going to try to revitalize and completely transition that lineup. You don't take a lineup with those kinds of pieces and just decide you're going to turn it on its head and do something totally different next season.
And Polanco doesn't do it himself. There's no way.
Polanco's he's a great piece. He's a really good player. He's not a great player. He's a good player, but he's not a replacement for Pete.
Not
like
even
how
close.
are you selling? How can you sell that to fans that he's the replacement to Pete and that's going to help the lineup because more contact and all this stuff? Okay, cool. But where does that whole grand scheme of things here? Because it don't.
Yeah, where are you going to get the other 30 home runs and 120 RBIs that you're missing still?
Yeah, you've got so many holes. It's not even funny.
Crazy.
Yeah, right. That doesn't fix the 4 games between Skubal starts. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Skubal only pitches in 20% of your games. You still got to solve for the other 80%.
Brutal. All right. Ha-Seong Kim, 1 for $10 million back with the Braves. Does this move do anything to help the Braves, or is this just depth?
I think it's depth. I mean, they got Dubon as a potential shortstop. I think Kim could be a potential shortstop. I think that with both of those guys, when Ozzie Albies inevitably gets hurt, now you've got a backup. I also do wonder if this opens up the door to make it easier to trade Albies, which they've talked about doing, and you can have a little more depth here. What I find interesting though is that Kim had a 4-year offer from the A's that he turned down to take this 1-year deal with the Braves to become a free agent again next year. He had a 4-year, $48 million offer from the A's and turned it down for this 1-year deal.
That is interesting.
And the belief is that he turned it down, one, because he believes he's worth more than this, but obviously last year he kind of blew that up with missing most of the season. And 2, he doesn't want to make that long-term commitment until he feels like he's got something closer to market value. So he was hesitant to lock himself up when he thinks there might be more out there. Now, if he goes and ends up as a backup in Atlanta or gets hurt again and doesn't play much, well, that 4-year deal is going to look really nice when you can't get a job next year.
Yeah. And who knows what the offseason looks like next year. I think that's odd.
It is.
For me, I would have taken the 4-year guarantee for sure.
Yeah. And Michael, you're right. They wanted him to play second or third, which the Braves are also saying he's likely to play. He's likely not an everyday shortstop. He's likely a second baseman, could be a third. I mean, obviously in Atlanta, you got Riley, so you don't need a third baseman, but he's going to see time in the middle. It won't always be shortstop.
No. Mike Reed and my mom with the timestamps exactly the same had Moyer. So nice job. But Michael got him. And so did someone else pointed him. Oh, Ryan said Mike always scopes out Moyer first. I got to do better. Yep. Keep your eye out. I just kind of put him in there anywhere and everywhere. But yeah. All right. Alex Bregman heading to the desert. We got rumors of the Diamondbacks in. Now, I think this could just be Scott Boras playing the game here. I was talking with one of my buddies, John Flanders, earlier today, and I think he's kind of right. I think this is Boras being like, the Diamondbacks need a third baseman. The league knows they need a third baseman. And this could be Boras playing his agent games trying to drive up the price for Alex Bregman. Do you think this is a serious offer from the Diamondbacks? Or is this just to escalate the price?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the Diamondbacks are looking at it as if we do trade Ketel Marte, then maybe bringing Alex Bregman behind him with some new faces might make sense.
But why? Listen, if I'm the Diamondbacks and Bregman's got a shot to come in, I ain't trading Ketel Marte. I'm having both of them on my roster.
Well, I think the Diamondbacks are saying we can't have them both because we got Perdomo who's going to need a contract here in a year or two also, and we can't have two guys making that kind of money and still fill out the rest of the roster. So I think they're looking at it as if Marte goes, Bregman's a good piece to add to pair with whatever the return for Marte is. But what's interesting is that so apparently Bregman was believed to be looking at a 5-year contract somewhere in the 170 range. According to Boris, he's now looking for 6 or 7 years, and he's 32.
Yikes.
As of today, the Red Sox said, we're out on that. We're not going to 6 or 7 years. We're not even sure we're going to go to 5. So it's sounding as of today that the likelihood of him coming back to Boston is very slim, and the Red Sox are gonna turn their attention somewhere else and let him go see if he can find what he's looking for. But
if it's Bregman, 6 or 7, yes, please. Like, I don't want any part of that.
No, goodness gracious, no. After 5 years, that would be insane.
Yep.
So apparently, it sounds like the Red Sox are taking a step back and saying, we're all set. If you want to get more realistic, come back. But otherwise, go chase your 6 or 7 year bag. And they'll look elsewhere. But at the same time, Bregman, as of right now, December 18th, doesn't have offers from anybody. He is very much playing it very, very slow to see what's going to come out of this.
I think older in quotes, older free agents have to be careful here, right? If you ask for too much, all 30 MLB teams, yes, I'm putting Dodgers in that camp too, are going to look at you and be like, this 32-year-old wants us to pay him until he's 40. He's crazy. Like, it's not happening. We're not going to do that. We're just going to bring in somebody younger, cheaper, that can put up the same production. Why would we do that? I think it's a really dangerous game now for these older-ish free agents to play this game. And that's why you see these Vlad Juniors, Witt Juniors, all these guys signing these extensions at 25. Good. Do you want to give them 14 or 15 years? I'm all for it, right? These kids are 25. They're signing career contracts is what they're doing, right? These guys that are trying to play the free agent market at 32, 33 years old and want 6 or 7 years, that's a dangerous game to play. Because Alex Bregman could be sitting there like, oh, crap, who just did it for the Diamond? Oh, Jordan Montgomery. Yeah. Scott Boras overplayed his hands. He didn't sign with the Diamondbacks until, what was it, the last week of March? Then Jordan Montgomery came back. He was terrible.
A mess.
So, I mean, if he's not careful, this is the same thing could happen. Completely miss the market. And we've said it the last couple of years. Like, yes, everybody in the chat saying, like, it's the same tired Boris shtick. And agree. And I think teams are tired of it too.
Well, and if you're Bregman, it's December 18th, you know, you got 2 months before people start reporting the spring training. You've had no like real serious conversation with anybody yet. You know, how long are you going to wait? Yeah, this is the same thing happened to Bregman last year. Then he took that shorter deal with the Red Sox. He kind of hung around that what he wanted wasn't there, and he settled. And he's back on the market doing the same thing because I think they are way overvaluing him. And, you know, the belief is, you know, the Red Sox saved $250 million when they traded Devers. The belief is they are prepared to reinvest a lot of that in Bregman because he was going to be the guy that replaced Devers on his way out of town. But for 6 or 7 years, they're not interested. They would rather go sign Bo Bichette, who's only 27, to a 6 or 7 year deal than give it to a 32-year-old Alex Bregman. And then just make Bichette a second baseman or a third baseman.
Yes, so, please.
And the Red Sox have also apparently been in communication with Suarez as a potential short-term filler. Now, granted, Suarez defensively is not nearly what Bregman is. He's not the same guy he used to be. He's adequate. You live with Devers for years. You can live with Suarez.
And Suarez is superiorly better than Devers.
Yeah, and there's your right-handed power bat.
Yep.
So maybe he's an option. And apparently the Red Sox are still talking about Ketel Marte with the Diamondbacks. So, yeah, I think Bregman may be closing the door in Boston without necessarily realizing that he's fully closing that door. and he won't be able to walk back through it.
You give me Diamondbacks East, I am all for it. You bring Ketel Marte and you put Ranger Suarez there at third. Absolutely. That makes that Red Sox lineup much better.
Yep.
And I would tell Ketel Marte, most likely, dude, this is Fenway Park, hit right-handed and go for 40 bombs, because that dude's right-handed swing is packed with power. But I think Ketel would be a great fit in Boston. And I think Suarez could too. You got to live with his strikeouts. He strikes out a ton.
Yep. But
when that dude gets hot, it is fun to watch. I'm not paying Alex Bregman 6 or 7 years. I would think about 5. I would. But once you get to 6 or 7, I think I'm okay. I'm all set. Thanks.
Yeah. So an interesting rumor popped up on that with Wilson Contreras, where apparently the Red Sox have talked to Chaim Bloom about a trade to bring him to Boston as a first baseman, because they are willing to move him. His contract's not absurd. The next couple of years that are left on it. Right-handed bat, guy with some pop, good defender, could be a potential option. But what do you give up to get him? I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because Chaim Bloom knows what's in that system. So, like,
he built it. He knows those guys very well.
Yeah, exactly. So that's yeah. I don't know. Red Sox are just, at this point, I still don't think they're going to do anything, because I still don't think they're going to do anything.
Because they never do.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, only 3 4th-year option for Bregman. I'm with you, Curtis. And then if he's raking after that 4th year, or maybe even put 2 or 3 years of an option, you know, like you can, if he wants. Oh, Michael King's going back to San Diego. Looks like.
Wait, what?
Michael King back to San Diego, I think. Yep, he just re-signed with the Padres 3-year deal. Opt-outs after 27 and 28.
Nobody had that on their bingo card.
Nope. So
I didn't think the Padres were signing anybody.
Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you want to pay him, if he wants a 7-year deal, be like, hey, buddy, 4-year deal, right? Opt-outs 5, 6, and 7. Right? And it could be the team, it could be mutual or club, right? If the club really wants that security, be like, we'll give you the 7 years, but we get team options, 5, 6, and 7.
Yep.
If you really want to bank on yourself and bet on yourself that you're still worth it after 7 years, then you'll take this deal. But even then, that's still, I don't know.
Yeah. You tried the whole opt-out path before, and that burned you. And we said it when we signed. This was a 1-year deal. Bregman was never going to stick around for all 3 years of it. Right. I think that the Red Sox need some certainty. He needs some certainty. But you can't give him 7 years. You can't give him 6 years. You got to, maybe it's 4 with some kind of an option structure. Maybe it vests with so many games played. I don't know. You can get into a lot of different ways to structure that. But
yeah,
I do not want to see you just make that kind of a big commitment to a guy who's 32 and already missed, a third of the season this year.
Yeah.
After missing a chunk of the season before, too.
With a soft tissue. The soft tissue worries me. Always does with those injuries.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that will absolutely catch up to you.
Yeah. All right. Bichette moving to second base. Does this change his market at all?
I think yes. I think him saying, yes, I will play second base changed his market, because everybody else in the market already saw that needing to happen. The general consensus around baseball was that he's not an everyday shortstop anymore. His defensive range has been limited by injuries. It's also been limited by the fact they never really had great range to begin with, and that he projects as a second baseman going forward. It also will be a little bit easier on his body, and you want to protect him. You want him out there every day. So I think everybody's kind of waiting for him to realize he needs to move to second base. It's nice to see him realize it too, because I do think this is going to open up other teams. Because I said it in the free agent show. I think he signs with the Yankees as a second baseman.
Yeah,
because I just don't think he's a shortstop anymore. But that bat would be insanely valuable in the second base spot. Like you don't get that kind of production out of second baseman generally.
No. I mean, a second base spot just opened up in Texas too. I mean, that's I don't know if they're going to enter the fold because it seems like they're shipping everybody out. But I mean, Red Sox got the second base hole. I mean, they got Roby and Gonzalez, but do you really have faith there? I don't know.
Would you want Bo Bichette or Romy Gonzalez?
Well, that's the thing. You get Bichette at second. You move Romy to first. I mean, there are teams that have second base availability for sure. Heck, I mean, I know the Braves just signed Ha-Seong Kim, but if they trade out Ozzie Albies, does that open up a spot for Bo Bichette? Or do they sign him and know that they just got to get rid of Albies at one point? I mean, maybe.
Sure. I mean, Albies only there for one more year.
Yeah.
You look at the Yankees. I thought he might sign there as a second baseman. You could move Jazz back to the outfield because you may not get Bellinger now.
But rumors are they're trying to ship Jazz out of New York too.
Yeah, now apparently Jazz is available, so who knows? I mean, I think you look around the league, there's plenty of teams that need a second baseman. The hard part is who's got the money to afford Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to be cheap. He's only 20. He's 27 and coming off a season where he hit 311 with some power.
Yeah.
He's going to be a guy that is in demand.
Yep. Sought after for sure. Where do you think he ultimately ends up?
I mean, I think he ends up in the AL East somewhere. I think he wants to be back in Toronto. But I could see the Yankees or the Red Sox trying to prime away.
Yeah. I said it last show that I think he is gonna go back to Toronto. I'm not so sure now. I've sat on it for the last couple of days. I think I'm with you. I think it's gonna be Red Sox or Yankees. And this might be crazy, but Orioles, would they be in on him?
Where do you play him though? You got Holiday, you got Gunnar,
they'll figure it out.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could probably figure it out. You got Alonso at first now. But you can put him at third, but that then takes away from bats from like Westberg and
he wouldn't go to the Orioles, but for sure, I think it's Red Sox.
I think there's lots of teams who could be potential landing spots for him that we haven't even talked about yet because we don't. Now that he's open to playing second, I do think other teams are going to be like, oh, really? Tell us more about that.
I mean, Ryan, I hate that you're not wrong, but Dodgers is always kind of right when this question is asked.
Yeah. Well, and
now,
honestly, like for the Blue Jays, the Kyle Tucker thing's gone like completely silent the last week or so. You know, if he doesn't end up going, does that mean they make a run to bring Bo back?
Yeah. Kevin says the longer he doesn't sign, the more I think he won't be back in Toronto. I kind of with you there. Curtis says the Rockies. Oh, Bo, not Dante. Bo staying in Toronto. Yeah. I mean, seems like the A's are looking for second baseman, though.
They are, but that's a big contract.
But, I mean, imagine that. Bo would tear that freaking ballpark apart.
It would be gross what he would do there. Like, just gross.
Man. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a far-fetched idea. I know. You guys are all going to laugh at me in the chat for the A's pick. But, it'd be crazy. But, yeah, I think ultimately I'm with you, AL East. And I'm with Cap. And at this point, I'm starting to kind of veer off Toronto a little bit here. Feel like he would have already gone back to check in on it.
Well, and I think he's kind of playing second fiddle to Tucker right now. I think the Blue Jays are showing that they are prioritizing Tucker over him, which is why he's kind of stuck in limbo. But the fact that he's staying in limbo tells me he really wants to go back. So if the Tucker thing doesn't happen, maybe there's a deal that gets put together with him quickly. Yeah. But at the same time, I kind of agree. The longer you sit and wait, the more he's got to be open to other options. And then maybe the Blue Jays just wait too long and get neither of them.
Yeah, fair. Everyone point and laugh at Nick. I deserve it after that one, Ryan. I agree. Jay's probably get one of the two, Bo or Tucker. Yeah, I agree. And
Yep.
then Curtis obviously wants him in New York. I mean, he'd be a great piece for any team. And like you said, 27, give that kid 7, 8 years.
Yep.
I think he's all for it. So
I mean,
I don't know. It'll be interesting.
He's an incredible player when he's healthy.
Yep. So, all right, Team USA, let's freaking go. Scooble, Skeens, and Logan Webb. So Scooble and Webb and Miller both announced today. Skeens was already there. Give me this top three. Holy cow, let's go. I'm pumped. And oh, by the way, Joe Ryan's also in this rotation. So, I mean, Scooble, Skeens, Webb, and Ryan are your four, right? And you got Miller and you got a few other arms in the backside. They have the pitching now. There's no excuses.
No, I mean that pitching staff will be matched by nobody. They went. I mean, we laughed the last time they were there. They made it all the way to the finals with what was like Merrill Kelly was the ace of that staff last WBC.
It was Merrill Kelly and the guy that just went for Brady Singer.
Oh, that's right, Singer. That's right. So I mean, you had Merrill Kelly as your number one, and now you've got Scooble, Skeens, and Logan Webb as your 1, 2, 3. Mason Miller in the bullpen, Garrett Whitlock in the bullpen. I mean, unreal how good this team just got.
There should not be a single universe that Scooble and Skeens are in the same rotation. It's just not fair.
If only you could get Crochet too, and then just line those three up and be like, forget about it.
Does he want to play?
I don't think so. I think he was a pass.
Dang, man, that would have been freaking nuts, man. Imagine that you go Scooble, Skeens, Crochet, just lefty, righty, lefty like that. Like, I mean, what are we even talking about? You don't even have to put fielders out there. Everybody can just DH. I mean,
yeah. So Crochet did opt out a few days ago. He said, "I'm all set."
Damn.
Originally, he wanted to play, and then he came back and just said, after this, I think after the season he just had, I think the full length of the season he just had,
yeah,
I think it's probably a smart idea for him to. That's the most he's ever thrown in the season, so it might be a good idea to sit this one out. But
yeah,
that would be outrageous to go Scooble, Skeens, and Crochet. Garrett Crochet is your third pitcher. I mean,
yeah, right.
You would just be blowing teams away.
And Logan Webb is no slouch, and you're dropping him to 5.
Logan Webb is nasty. That sinker baller. A lot of these countries don't see the sinker ball. He's going to be really tough to hit.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, I agree. Like, the MLB teams are sweating bullets about them staying healthy, right?
Yes.
I mean, and I think for the most part, other than Edwin Diaz's fluke ACL celebrating, they've done a really good job of like maintaining especially the pitcher's workload.
They have
for all teams and on every country.
Yeah, so, they have. Thankfully, have not had like any sort of major problem.
Yeah. And as a Sox fan, I'm fine with him not pitching the WBC. We're with you, Mike Reed, for sure, agreed. For everything Harrison just pointed out. But if I was not pumped for the WBC before, I am now.
Yeah, this is going to be good.
Pulling Strider for the bullpen? Sure. I mean, let's go. Bring in Captain Thunder Thighs. I'm all for that. You kidding me? This staff would be ridiculous.
I mean, this team is becoming ridiculous. I mean, we were talking about how good the DR was last show, and then all of a sudden all these announcements happen. Now it's like, okay, like Team USA is not to be screwed with.
And I wonder if that was some of the decision too, right? I mean, like Scooble and Webb and Miller kind of sitting back, and they're like, oh, this DR team is forming, and look at what they got. Like, I want to go compete against that. That's probably 1 through 9. 1 through 9 is going to be the best lineup in the world, right?
Yep.
I mean, 1 through 9, would you say they are?
I mean, yeah, I would say they probably are. I mean, Team USA is not going to be a joke. They're going to be a legit loaded lineup. but the DR is stupid good. You got 3 guys fighting for the third base position.
Yeah. And if you want to consider yourself one of the best pitchers in the world, and you go out and you shut that lineup down, you can hang that in your trophy case and retire tomorrow and be a Hall of Famer in my eyes.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Do you have the starting 9 for the USA right there?
I did a little bit ago. WBC Team USA. I was looking at it earlier. It's in our stories because I was like, "Holy cow, this is insane!"
Yeah. I probably could have looked it up too, but
Oh, and Bednar joined the staff too. I didn't realize that happened.
Yeah, that's all
Nolan
right.
McLean also joined. Clay Holmes
Yep.
joined.
Yeah.
Joe Ryan joined.
Yeah, Schwarber, Terang, Gunner, Will Smith, Judge,
Bobby Witt Jr., Judge, Will Smith,
Corbin Carroll,
yep, Corbin Carroll, Garrett Whitlock, Matthew Boyd,
PCA, Cal Raleigh.
Yep. This team is loaded. Then you got Garrett Clevenger and Griffin Jacks in the bullpen.
Griffin Jacks too in that bullpen. Okay.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah.
Like Bednar, Miller. It's like if I'm Mark DeRosa, I'm like, thank goodness the gods have delivered.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a tough time managing that staff last year. It was tough.
He
He did a great job with what he had, but
yeah,
and
it was
not
young guys, and it was tough.
I mean, not the slouch Singer and Kelly because they pitched their butts off.
They pitched great. They made it all the way to the finals.
Yeah, they did great, but I mean, Trey Turner was also on a bender for those 2 weeks.
He was. He was.
He was unconscious, but yeah, dude, I'm ready for March. Bring it on. Let's go.
Yep.
Crazy. All right, Harrison.
Oh boy.
I got the mixing of stat lines back, and I took your advice, guys. I split it into 2 silhouettes. And I would like to say that both silhouettes are kind of related, and you'll kind of see what I mean. There's a common theme between the silhouettes. So
okay,
here is the first one. Which 2 pitcher stat lines are mixed together? 139.2 WAR, 324 and 292 win-loss record, 4,672 strikeouts, 3.19 ERA, 707 games started, no Cy Young awards.
Sorry. Well, now I know. I definitely know who the guy on the right is. I'm pretty sure I know who the guy on the left is. Although I will say that silhouette on the left looks like John Lackey. Like,
I mean,
I saw it. Yeah. I saw it immediately. I'm like, oh, that's Lackey. Like the way the hand is coming out and back. It's like that's Lackey.
Yeah.
I know it's not, but it looked like him at first.
Ryan is one, but not Carlton.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the guy in red you wanted to rename the Cy Young after.
Yes, this is the Rocket Express for sure. Yes, the Rocket Express.
I like it, the Rocket Express.
I do too. The Rocket Express. Works. Yeah, Roger Clemens and Nolan Ryan. So good one. All right. Which 2 pitcher stat lines are mixed together? 59.0 WAR, 139 and 78 win-loss record, 1,870 strikeouts, 3.20 ERA, 493 games started, 2 Cy Young awards.
Oh, the ballpark in the background. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew the guy on the right. That the follow through and the finish to me is I'll never forget that guy.
And I think the hand gives it away because of his signature pitch. If you can see the detail,
the change up.
Mm-hmm.
The guy on the left, I was like, man, I don't know who that is, but I see the background, so now I know who that is.
Yeah, yeah. I try not to make these impossible, but yes, sir.
Yeah, he owes Dwayne Wise free drinks for life.
Yeah, I mean, insane. Still one of the best catches I think ever, just because of the circumstances.
Absolute insanity. Like, sir.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, Houston Astros with the connection for the Rocket Express. So like that was a connection. I was thinking for them like strikeouts and 7 Cy Youngs versus no Cy Youngs was kind of like they're the same breath for me, because I think Nolan Ryan should have had Cy Youngs and didn't. But
Yeah, well,
yeah, Mark Burley is one for sure. So they got one. So Ryan's got Burley and yes, Michael, Burley and Johan Santana. The common thread I picked there were lefty pitchers from the AL Central. So, I mean, kind of a common connection, but thought they were easy enough to get.
yeah, those are good.
All right. Which two pitchers' stat lines are mixed together? 28-point WAR, 82 and 60 win-loss record, 1,133 strikeouts, 2.21 ERA, 10 games started, 2 Cy Young Awards, 601 saves.
The two greatest debates in terms of who would have been better if they switched sides or switched teams.
Mm-hmm. Although I might have a typo in here, because I don't think any of them actually won a Cy Young Award. I might have just not taken it out.
Oh,
yes, that is. So none of them have a Cy Young Award.
oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that should have been taken out. It is Rivera and Hoffman. Nice job, even with the 2 Cy Young Awards. Yeah.
That Hoffman leg kick, like, how did he not like fold himself up?
No, it's crazy.
My goodness.
I'm thinking about just editing it out right now and then just I can't. It was on Canva. Never mind. Yep. So Mariano and Trevor Hoffman. So we just won't put that one on the reels because I'll get roasted for the 2 Cy Young Awards.
That's why we put it on the reels, when it goes viral.
Yeah, that's true. Fair.
We like viral.
Which two pitchers' stat lines are mixed together? 16.6 WAR, 86 and 75 win-loss record, 757 strikeouts, 3.67 ERA, 106 games started, no Cy Young Awards, 63 saves.
Is it bad you read the 3.67 in my head? I'm going 6.7 because
yes, that's bad.
Kids are broken.
Yeah, don't bring that here.
6.7, Nick. 6.7.
Oh.
All right. Well, the guy on the right, I definitely know. He had a 20K game.
Mm-hmm.
Guy on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, teammates?
Teammates.
Okay.
Really gives it away. Not Madison Traxel. It's a good
pitching coach now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I got that.
Yeah, I feel you, Michael. I'm with you. Eye roll.
Yeah, right. Harrison, don't do
that. Thank you, Ryan. Please no.
But now our show is hip, guys.
Wait, so he doesn't get a let's point and laugh at Harrison, Ryan?
No.
Come on now. Yeah, it is Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood for sure. Nice. Maddox is a good guess, but yes, it's Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood are the two. And obvious connections, teammates, both came up around the same time and dominated. So yeah.
Just it's too bad because they were elite and then fell apart.
Yep.
And I still blame the Cubs for misusing them.
Yep.
Dusty in particular.
Yeah. Which two pitcher stat lines are mixed together? 89.2 WAR, 165 and 87 win-loss record, 3,117 strikeouts, 2.76 ERA, 482 games started, 3 Cy Young Awards, 6 saves.
Oh, okay. This one's a little tougher. Michael, my 5-year-old does a 6-7 thing. I roll her. My 14-year-old and 9-year-old love it. They think it's so funny. They do it more just to irk me, I think.
Oh, for sure. You've seen the one guy that goes 7-8, like
No,
the kid,
no.
the kid, he goes 7-8, and the kid just immediately like shuts up and walks away.
Yeah.
Or he goes 8-9. That's what he does.
Yeah, 8-9.
Yeah. It is Koufax and Gibson.
Oh.
Michael's on it. Yeah.
Michael just slides right in there and takes it.
Sandy Koufax and Bob Gibson for sure. Hershiser, Wainwright, good guess. But yep, went with Koufax and Gibson there. All right.
Actually, the silhouette for Koufax, I almost thought at first was Carlton. I'm like, no, that's definitely not.
Yeah. All right. I got 2 more for you.
All right.
Which two pitcher stat lines are mixed together? 81.7 WAR, 221 and 117 win-loss record, 3,553 strikeouts, 322 ERA, 555 games started, 3 Cy Young Awards.
I know the guy in orange.
Mm-hmm.
That is a delivery that has been like burned into my brain.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, Toronto in the background should give away the second guy.
Mm-hmm.
I should have picked up on that quicker.
Yep, there we go. Michael Verlander and Scherzer. This is Michael's cup of tea right here.
Apparently.
He's loving it. Yes, Verlander and Scherzer is correct.
And these aren't even like really old guys.
No. All right, this next one, if you get one, you'll probably get the other, but it might be a little bit tougher. So we'll see. It might not. Who knows? We'll see. Which two pitcher stat lines are mixed together? 14.2 WAR, 38 and 31 win-loss record, 470 strikeouts, 2.58 ERA, 93 games started, 0 Cy Young Awards.
Yikes. Not a lot of stats to go off of here.
No. But like I said, if you're able to pick out one, you should be able to pick out the other.
All right. So looks like we got, is that Casey on the right? What's on the left? What ballpark is that? It's hard to see with the letters.
It's not King Felix and Saberhagen.
No.
That's a good guess.
What ballpark is that on the left?
It might give it away if I tell you.
Oh,
Alan
okay.
Mark Leiter. Nope. It does have an aquarium in the backstop.
Oh, okay.
Alan Mark Leiter's a great guess.
That is a great guess.
So it is Marlins and Royals. I guess I will give you that.
Oh, is this?
It is. If it clicked, you got it. Yes, sir. Yep. For sure.
Way to bring the mood down.
I know, right? Yeah. It's crazy how almost identical their pitching motions were.
I know. I mean, obviously on the right, he had the crazy tilt, but very similar kind of drive and stride.
Fernandez is 1, Ryan, but not Greinke. Remember, there is a sort of a common link. So if Fernandez is one,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it's a
there's
sad
a
link.
common link. Yeah, it's not a great link, but it's a link.
Michael, I mean,
Yes, Michael,
yes,
you're right.
but who's the someone else?
Right.
Who's the other pitcher that passed away too early? The pitcher for the Royals.
That also had pretty ridiculous stuff.
Silly stuff. Silly. Was it a car accident? Is that?
Yes, I think it was.
That was crushing.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was after the World Series, right?
Yep.
I don't think he got stabbed, did he? I was pretty sure it was a car accident too. Could be wrong.
Kid threw
Yeah,
100 plus.
it was a car crash in the Dominican.
Yeah.
Yeah, Giordano Ventura is correct. Yep. So Fernandez and Giordano Ventura. So sorry to bring the mood down there. Wah, wah. But
Dude was filthy.
Yeah, forgot about Ventura. Yeah, the kid had some electric stuff. It was crazy.
Silly.
I mean,
good.
So did Fernandez. I mean, both of these kids were so good. So
my
good.
favorite clip is still the one where Tulo hits the ball back at Vet Fernandez, and then he's like, "Did you catch that?" He's like, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah. Yeah, that was
that's such a good clip, and Tulo's just like blown away at the fact that he made that catch.
Yeah,
that ball was smoked.
Yeah, scorched. But all right, well, that's what I had for trivia this evening. So
those are good, and I do think the second silhouette helps.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
So it's good. They're kind of easy to put together, although I forgot to delete the Cy Youngs off Mariano and Hoffman. So that's going to be great that I have to battle people in the comments for that. But
just blame me. It's fine.
Why is it gang up on Nick tonight? Point and laugh at Nick one time and he gets all depressing. I'm not really a depressing guy, I promise.
He's just sensitive.
Yeah. And I have feelings. You don't even go to school here.
What?
It's a Mean Girls quote, but it's fine.
Oh my Lord.
All right. Do you have anything?
Now you're quoting. We've apparently been on for too long. You're quoting Mean Girls now.
Well, and it's the end of my work week, bud. Like I'm toast. So.
Toast. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I just have one quick item. The Nationals hired their new general manager today. Ani Kalambi, who was the assistant GM in Philadelphia, is now the GM in Washington. 31. That front office and manager are now all mid-30s and younger.
Dang.
And very well respected with what he's done in Philadelphia. He was in charge of kind of all their R&D. So he was doing all of the kind of research, all the prep, a lot of the development stuff. Very well respected guy. Philadelphia did not want to see him go, but he 31-year-old general manager. That's a big job for a kid.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Love that.
So your new president of baseball ops, was it Tobin, the guy from the Red Sox? I can't think of his name now. I think he's 35. The manager's 33, and you got a GM who's 31. Like that whole group is now very young.
It's crazy. Players are all older than they are.
That's the funny thing is, like literally, they're going to have players that they're talking to older than them.
Right. You have to like fire your grandpa at the trade deadline. Yeah.
But Uncle CJ.
Sorry about it, Nelson Cruz. I know you're 47 and I'm 26, but you're fired. Yeah, crazy.
That'd be wild.
Yeah. Mike, schedule for the next 2 weeks. We'll probably do a 24-hour marathon on Christmas. That's what I was kind of hoping about. No. I don't know.
Yeah, when Nick says it'll be him and his imaginary friend because I won't be there for that.
Yeah. I mean, Sunday's regular time. And then possibly Friday night. Because I mean, we're not going to do Wednesday night with Christmas Eve and then Christmas on Thursday. We'll probably do Friday night, I would guess, next week.
Yeah.
And then we'll just kind of figure out New Year's when that comes. So, yeah, I think we'll do that. Next week would be Sunday and Friday. And then we'll figure it out. I mean, the off season, we can be a little bit more flexible anyways, because we don't really have to work around the baseball schedule as much. So it is what it is. But yeah, we'll be on Sunday. Maybe we'll do some Christmas themed show action. Maybe dive into some Christmas players themes. I got a couple great names to get in there. So,
and sadly, Big Christmas just got DFA'd.
DFA'd. I saw that.
So Christmas got ruined.
Brutal.
Yeah, tough.
It's all right. The Phillies will pick them up.
They might.
or the Mets for 45,000. Not 45 million for 1 year.
Oh God. Yeah. That would be a very Mets thing to do.
Yeah. So all right. Well, I got nothing else. This was, I mean, another great one, another incredible guest. Just listening to him and the stories and the way he got to watch the games from that perspective is something we haven't had on this show yet. So it was really cool. Some cool inside stories in the clubhouse and on the phone between the dugouts. So you don't realize that they talk to the official scorers in the middle of the games, but
yeah, I wouldn't think they do that,
wild.
But apparently, yeah.
Yeah, that is wild. Pretty cool. So yeah. Thanks again for sticking with us for 2.5 hours. I know it's a long stream, but we appreciate all the support. We love you guys. Love the interactions you bring. And keep showing the support. We're still growing a little bit slow right now in December. It's off season, kind of happens, but we're still creeping ever closer to 30K. So we are getting close. But yeah, hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll have a Christmas themed show-ish on Sunday. And until then, have a good weekend. Be safe. Get some rest. We'll see you Sunday night.